So you're going to get to witness some of that. Some of that is also when we talk about deed restrictions for African Americans here in Pasadena. And we'll talk a little bit about a case that was taken on that ended racial prejudice here in America. So where we're starting today is kind of one of the big wins in the African American community here in Pasadena. So, we're going to talk about the history of the Brookside Fund. This area that we're in now is the grazing area for sheep. It was called Sheep Corral Springs. In 1940, this is Everett Brooks donated $3,000 to build Brookside Fund. I had a little joke about Harvard Brooks. So, I think many of you knew about that TV show. So, the pool was built, and immediately, the city leadership of Pasadena announced that they would set aside Wednesday for a day that African Americans, Latinos, Japanese citizens of Pasadena could swim in the pool. And so, this was a weekly event, and the Wednesday Pool Day was coined International Day. And so that was some of the history about some of the segregation. Now there were a group of 6 men that were taxpayers here in Pasadena. And they said because they were taxpayers, they had a right to use this pool. And it became a long drawn out court battle to desegregate this pool here in Pasadena. And so one of the leaders of that effort was Dr. Edna Griffin. Edna Griffin was the first female president of the Pasadena branch of the NAACP. Dr. Griffin was the first African American physician, woman physician in Pasadena. And as we walked, I can tell some of her story. But what attracted Dr. Griffin to Pasadena, she read in the Travel magazine that Pasadena was the noblest city in America. So swallow that. And so in 1947, California Supreme Court passed the lawsuit was won by African American citizens here in Pasadena. The unfortunate thing was that in 1947, during World War II, these areas were used for military barracks. And so African Americans couldn't benefit from the fruits of their labor until 1948. And so this was the place. And so we want to start this tour now from here. From here we're going to walk up across the park to the statue of Jackie Robinson. And we'll continue the conversation from there. One of the things I want to share with you is there's a myth in the black community that African American by the name of Robert Owen, who cut trees for the U.S. government in what's now the Meadows. At that time it was called Negro Pay. So the myth is that Robert Owen owned all the property in Arroyo. And he gave the property to the city of Pasadena for all the benefits and enjoyment of the citizens. I think that was a noble effort. And, we can also talk a little bit more about his story. But he turned out to be one of the wealthiest African Americans in Los Angeles. And if anybody knows the story of Minnie Mason, Robert Owen paid for her freedom. And so, let's gather up our things and see something a little bit different. When I was raised here in Pasadena, African American community had it going on. things like Freeway and the Urban Renewal Project, Pepper Project, which is now Kings Mountain, were things that were used to destroy the black community, but also how we were active participants here in the politics of Pasadena. And so one of the key things that people will see, they'll see some wealth, but what they should see is that the African Americans that lived in Pasadena were engaged. They're engaged in the activities of this community. And that being the case, they also were able to receive the benefits that Pasadena had to offer. And so we'll start walking. Nora? And if anybody's got any questions, feel free to ask as you want.
Okay.
Real quick.
You said that there was a myth.
Yeah.
So what part is the myth?
The myth was that Robert Owen owned all the property.
So he did not.
He did not. This was government land. But you'll get a strong argument in the black community that he didn't.
All right, before we depart, I'd really like to get a group photo here in front of the banner. So those of you who feel okay with gathering as a group,